Shalom from Jerusalem, and our weekly portion Ki-Tetze talks about a lot of commandments. And before we start talking about some of them, I'd like to speak about two very important principles. One principle is the Torah is a book of archetypes. Book of archetypes means that everything that exists outside and outside the world exists inside of us, so we can look at these commandments as it relates to us today inside of us. And another very important principle is that Torah very often talk about extreme cases. What does it mean, extreme cases? The Torah talk about case, and we say if in such cases this and that, therefore everything else even more so. And this is a principle on which the Talmud is based. And a lot of people who don't understand that, they ask, what is this sages are arguing about? These cases are so much extreme, they're so much not part of life. But what they don't understand, that it's exactly what our sages want to establish, is that what the minimum price you're supposed to pay. If you establish the minimum price that you know, then anything above that, it's already fine, it can be paid. Or what the extreme case to which this particular law applies. Once you find this border, you know that everything that is inside that applicable to this particular mitzvah, this particular commandments, everything that outside is not applicable. So finding the borders, finding the extremes, that's what the Talmud does very, very often. So let us look at some of the mitzvahs, learning those two principles. So one of the mitzvahs that I like to look at, the Torah tells us in this weekly parsha about returning the lost articles. And one of them says, if you see your brother's ox or sheep going astray, you must not ignore them, you must return them to your brother. Okay? So the principle is that if you find lost objects, don't ignore it, take it, try to find the person who it is. It's a big mitzvah, and so on. But our sages tell us an incredible thing. This is a law that talking about the mitzvah, which is commandment, of kiruv. Kiruv likarev, to bring Jews close to Torah. Why is that? They say, look, if the sheep or the ox is lost, you're supposed to return it to the owner. And what about your brother Jew? If he is lost, so of course you have to return him to the owner, to the one who created him, right? To Hashem. So this is a mitzvah that tells us that we have to do the most we can to bring Jews back to Torah, to us. But now we're going to look from the point of the archetypes. All right. So if my animal inside of me, which is my animal parts, got lost, then I have to return it back to my soul. The owner is the soul. There are two of them. Sheep follows others. So sometimes my part of me, which is an animal part of me, follow other people, and it just wanders away, so we have to return it back. And when it talks about the bull, sure, it talks about pride. Sometimes, we are, because of our false pride, again, my animal nature is taking away this part, and I have to return it back. Now, I want to look at another very interesting commandment, and this commandment has to do with taking a beautiful woman who you take as a captive in the war. And Torah tells us that when you go to the war and you find this beautiful woman and you desire her, so you can take her for a month, and this month she has to shave her hair, she has to cut her nails, she has to change her clothes, right? And then if you desire her still, then you can take her as a wife. So Arizal, a great Kabbalist, asked the question, wait a minute, what kind of principle is that? It's like, you're not allowed to have her, but if you really want to, you can have her. What about other mitzvot that you're forbidden to have? It's like, can you, steal something and hold it for months and decide you should have it or not have it. It doesn't work with anything else. It's not, why is it working here? Why is this principle is applicable here? And besides that, let's look at that. What war are we talking about? We're not talking about war of conquering the land. We're not talking about the mitzvah war where people are attacking you. This is a war where you go out to expand your territory, right? So, who goes to this war? And Torah tells us that anybody who has personal matters, bought a house, didn't live in it, took a wife, didn't enjoy her, and so on, don't go. Not only that, people go, they volunteer, and anybody who is scared, have fear inside, okay, leave, Torah says, and don't make your brother's heart also afraid. Eh? Now, why does the people afraid? Because the Torah tells us that, sages tells that people do some little transgressions, little transgressions, but they're still afraid because they've done these transgressions that maybe they, because of that, can be vulnerable in this war. And that's why they don't go. So who goes to this war? It's absolute righteous people. Now, let me ask you a question. Is an absolute righteous person would be interested in this very well-dressed and maybe even a beautiful Gentile woman? Like, what we're really talking about? Now, so Arizal points out, he says, what happens is that we have this, doctrine of reincarnation, and it says that sometimes because the Jew did not behave properly, so part of his soul can be reincarnated in the body of a non-Jew. And that's what's happening here. That this, not only that this woman have a Jewish spark, the Jewish soul, but this part is related to this particular warrior. This is his half, this is his, or part of him. And that's why he's so attractive. So if this is true, so you take this woman and you shave her hair, which means shaving all the wrong ideology, all the wrong thoughts. Nails has to do with excesses in physicality, and change the clothes, which talks about the midas, and she should cry for a month. And by the way, what month is that? It's month of Elul. That's the month that we're right now. What's she crying about? She's crying about father and mother. Who's her real father and mother is God. So she realized that she was taking captives in this non-Jewish nation, but she really belongs to us. And after that, if all this transformation takes place, you can marry her. This is, again, part of you. Sometimes there's more difficult cases that Kabbalah is talking about, that, there's a divine spark in her, and you can take the spark, and then you realize there's nothing left, and then you can let her go. This is something different. How does it relate to us? What war are we going? Torah tells us it's a war with your Yetzer Hara, with your evil inclination. And if you go to the war with your evil inclination and you find the part of you, which is a beautiful part, but this part was taken, again, by the Gentile ideologies, this part is now part of the Yetzer Hara. So it says it takes months to change the habit. Again, take away all the false ideology from this part, take away all the access of physicality from this part, take away the wrong character traits that attach itself to this part, and then you can change this part, and its part becomes part of you. So if this is a part of you, then what we do, we welcome this part, it's just part of us. And if it's just a spark and everything else has nothing to do with Kedusha, with holiness, so we let it go, and we keep what the essential, what is in there. So again, look at all these commandments in the Torah in this way, and you find there's amazing commandments, how it's related to us. If it talks about roof and the necessity of putting a guard so people don't fall, it's not just talking about roof, it's any dangerous situation or any dangerous position. And again, emotionally or psychologically, if yourself in danger, so the putting guards around it. If it's talking about in a camp, making sure the camp is pure and clear. So this is the whole the whole principle of hygiene that is applicable today in the Western society and was applicable for Jews for centuries and centuries, and the personal hygiene that we have towards us today, and so on. So from Jerusalem, Shalom, Shalom.